Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Pipeline Podcast. I'm your host, Jared, also known as One Up Muffin on the Discord. We'll go around and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm CMM. You can call me Clay, or another word that I can't say on the podcast.
And I'm Mina. Name and username. Whoa.
And we have a special guest with us today. Introduce yourself. Let us know what you would be called in the podcast.
What's up? I'm Drago, or Jonathan. Either or, whichever you prefer. That's me.
Janego.
Okay,
Don't do
awesome.
Not that. But
Not that.
that's fine.
So, with E3 just around the corner, it's X number of weeks from now, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. But we thought we would spend this time to discuss some of our predictions for the show. Obviously, there's some likely things, there's some unlikely things, there's some hopes, there's some dreams. So let's just start, go around, talk about what do we think's gonna be there.
All right.
My favorite time of year. Like, I'm so excited. Just
Yeah.
before
I
we
love
even talk,
E3.
I'm just
Yeah.
I get it. E3, blah blah blah. It's not what it used to. No, to me it is.
Yeah.
I am excited. All right.
Yeah, I feel it.
I'm ready to be excited about video games. I'm ready for a ton of events. I'm ready for Nintendo to give us 45 minutes of something
Nothing.
cool.
45
Nothing at all.
minutes of Smash Bros.
45 minutes of
35.
Smash Brothers.
35 minutes of Breath of the Wild 2 and 10 minutes of Mario Party, whatever.
I would be fine with that. If
You know,
I
I'll
get
take it.
any Breath of the Wild, let's start there. That's the biggest. That's the elephant
Yeah.
in the room.
Yep.
There's no way it can't be there, right?
Yeah.
No.
Probably
like-
not.
There's no way in hell Breath of the Wild 2 is not here. Like, I think this is the thing that everyone collectively expects, or at least should expect.
Yeah.
I'll say
they
this,
said already.
Um,
We're gonna hear more about it this year.
if it's not here, they're gonna say it before the show. I am
Yeah.
100% positive.
Oh
'cause
yeah. If
they
it's
know.
not there, they will be like, this will be about
everything else.
yeah. Previously
Um,
announced games excluding Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, please
2.
do not expect Breath of the Wild there. Yeah, honestly. But no, I think,
If they did that, they would get so much shit.
But I think that's right though. If it's not there, they will
Yeah.
set the expectation.
They would do.
You
They've done
know?
that before. I think they did it before for Breath of the Wild 1.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
they did. E3 2015, they went in saying, please do not expect news on Zelda on Wii U or the NX, right?
And then everyone said, "Where's Zelda?" That's it.
Well, 2015
was
was
nice.
that was a special year. That was
The one E3 really had to warn everybody. They're like, please, it's gonna be all about Smash. Don't expect other stuff. Please enjoy.
I
Hey, it's
expect Breath of the Wild 2 to
Enjoy
be
it.
there. I'm guessing we'll see a blowout of information, and I guess we'll finally find out the answer of if it's 2021 or not.
What do you want
yeah.
from it?
I have no idea.
I-
Honestly, if I can ask for one thing, really, I'm not even asking for it. I just want something that I'm not even expecting, that I can't even predict.
Yeah.
I want to be
Um,
surprised, like I was with Breath of the Wild, but
Right.
and I'm worried some of that surprise is already gone when you reuse the same map.
Right. But I think this is, like, when I think of Breath of the Wild 2, I think, like, because Majora's Mask was like a quickie, right? It was kind of like in the same situation, I think, right? Where
Well-
it's like, oh, we've got this engine, we've got, like, we can just make another. Let's just go right into it.
Yeah, it
But-
was supposed to be a quickie, I guess we can say.
Yeah.
It ended up
And
not
it's like, I
being
don't...
one, but
Right, like I don't know if this started life as like a quickie thing, because I think the best comparison was like Galaxy 2, right?
yeah.
I don't know if they said that themselves, but I think it was kind of the same thing where it's like, oh, we've got all these extra ideas we couldn't even touch, so we just said let's just make another game. But here we are. This game has, I mean, by the time it's out, it's going to have just about the full development cycle in terms of time taken to make the game.
Yeah, this is Zelda time, right? This is like a full Zelda game cycle right here. Like, if it comes
Which makes me
out
think like 4
this
years.
holiday.
They got to
Right.
do a lot to that map. They got to add a
Yeah.
lot of stuff to it.
I'm not reading
I think-
too much into the whole, like, oh, we're reusing the same map thing.
Right.
Um,
Like I feel like because like I don't know. I haven't really watched the trailer too much since it premiered. I was like, oh okay.
Yeah, same. I didn't watch it again.
Um, I don't remember much like a world. It was really just Ganon's back again or something.
And there was a cave. So
So
Yeah.
we saw the
caves will
closing
definitely be a part
shot
of
of like it's the same Hyrule, right? But then we see the castle like start taking off, right? Like,
Mhm.
so it was the same world, but we don't know the extent of that. Like how much things have changed. There could be some complete bullshit. Maybe there's a whole underground. I
Yeah,
don't know.
see, that's
you
what I'm
know?
hoping.
I definitely expect like underground stuff.
I'm hoping
to be
for
a
an
big
underworld
thing.
that kind
I
of
hope
like,
I hope for more structures too.
yeah,
I think now that I'm thinking about it too, it's like I because I feel like Breath of the Wild was such like honestly to me it was like very standalone. Like it's not really the kind of thing I think you can just do a sequel and have it be like kind of the same structure, the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be like, you know, more of a focus on story, maybe more of a focus on dungeons. I certainly wouldn't complain if there's more of a dungeon focus. I don't know about a story focus. I mean, I don't know. Breath of the Wild is such a unique thing that to just do another, it's like in my head I can only really imagine it being more of the same, but I know it's not going to be. They've taken a long time with it, and it's the Zelda team, it's Nintendo. Like even if it's the same thing, like I mean again to go from like Galaxy 1 to 2, like yeah, it's the same thing, same engine, but it's like just a completely different set of ideas and concepts that they just run with.
yeah.
Yeah. I would love I say like I wouldn't want like a more sequel where it's just like more stuff, but like for me Breath of the Wild was like almost the perfect video game. So even if Breath of the Wild 2 like perfects all the small things I had problems with in the first one, I would love that, but also like I wouldn't be as surprised.
Right.
And that's what I want going in, right? Is I just want, because I think that was part of why I love Breath of the Wild so much, is because I did not know what to expect going in, and it just blew me away, right? And that's kind of what I want from the sequel. And I don't know how a sequel can do that, but I you know, maybe I just have blind faith in them. But I really do think, like Draco said, like I don't know, like I feel like they would not be happy with just an iterative sequel, you know? And I have to imagine, like, Aonuma specifically, like, he's been taken aback by the reception Breath of the Wild got, right? And I think part of that is, like, him realizing, oh, like, us deciding to upend what people expected out of a Zelda game worked out really well. And so I think that should kind of signal to him that, hey, like, you don't have to, like, no, even if something worked in Breath of the Wild, you can toss it away, you know? You can do whatever you want because, you know, I think that's what people liked about Breath of the Wild is just this idea of just upending everything, and here's just a completely brand new experience. And I don't know how Direct Sequel is going to do that, but I have faith that at least it will not just be Breath of the Wild Dungeons.
I guess
you know?
my hope is a Majora's Mask style sequel instead of a Galaxy 2 style sequel, but I will love it either way, and it's Nintendo, so
like I feel like it's going to be closer to something Majora's Mask. Like I feel like maybe it started life as just kind of like a, you know, a more direct sequel. I don't know. And I mean, it's hard to tell because we know literally nothing. All we know is that the game exists, and they've just been working away at it for the last couple of years. Which is part of why it's like I don't know what to expect at all. I don't even know what to predict, to the point where it's like I don't even really care. I care, but I don't care enough to like think about it and predict and guess.
If I had the choice between getting a trailer tomorrow and learning about the whole game, or getting the game out in a month and just playing it without seeing anything, like I would want to go in without seeing anything about it if I could.
Yeah, like at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like I've got nothing but faith in them, really. And it's like even if the game is like weird and different and not great, I think, you know, it'd probably still be interesting in its own way, you know.
For me,
Not that I think it's going to be bad, but
I know for me,
I mean,
that like, so one thing I would be interested in seeing is that underground, because a big theme of Zelda 1 is that there's the overworld and there's the underworld, and you know, obviously in Breath of the Wild, just basically 3D Zelda 1. there's kind of just a giant overworld, which is fine. I'd like to see like an underworld aspect. My main concern, honestly, for the sequel is I don't want to see something that's a major left turn. It's clear that people really enjoyed the first one. I'm definitely okay if the second one is closer to a Galaxy 2-esque sequel than, like, you know, Castlevania 1 to Castlevania 2.
Sure, yeah.
Like I'm worried about I don't really think they need to inject something that may be completely out of pace. I think there's still plenty of stuff they can do that they didn't in the first one that still follows the same course, if that makes sense, and would still be very interesting and fun. I just don't. My biggest fear is it going a bit too far away from what the first game was, when people are very hungry for, more of that kind of game.
I get that. I feel like the second one has to have, like, people love the open-endedness, and I think that'll still be here.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to see like a sudden shift to, like, all right, guys, we're back to dungeon items and doing them in order and stuff again. I think that would be...
I definitely don't think we're definitely not doing linear structure.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is, that's the one thing I'm sure
it's going to be super
open-ended. I do think if, like, the dungeons came back and items came back, it'd be more like a Link Between Worlds, where it was kind of like, do it in whatever order you want.
Yeah.
You know? Probably not with the same, like, rental system.
Yeah.
I didn't like the rental system.
I mean, I wonder, I actually had this idea of a way you could do dungeons, what if, like, in a way that could bring back, like, the item structure from previous games, was, like, what if just for that dungeon you got a fucking, like a temporary power up for your Sheikah Slate, you know, or not, it doesn't have to be temporary. You can keep it after you beat it or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like every time you enter a place, like, you get a new, like, kind of power up for your Sheikah Slate. Yeah, new ability, new whatever, right? And then they could do a whole dungeon around that idea, right?
And then you can maybe, like, bring it back into the overworld, right? And it's like there's going to be optional things that, you know, if you don't have it, I mean, it's not going to stop you from playing the game, but if you do...
Yeah, it won't stop you from doing other things, right? You can still go to the dungeons in any order, but it'll let you do new stuff with the overworld, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that would be a decent way to go about it. I mean, the Sheikah Slate lets you you can literally Link could download a new fucking app that gives him a new power up, and it would work, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I mean... Yeah, I think as far as, like, dungeons go, even more than anything is, like, I think just, like, aesthetically, I hope that they're a bit more creative and not just...
The fact that the shrines all look the same, and then more so the 4 dungeons looked exactly the same.
There was a lot of repetition.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the idea and how they played with, like, oh, these are, like, a life-size dungeons. Like, you see it, and then you go in it, and it's, you know, it's consistent, and then you, like, kind of alter, like, their state and, like, their, you know, positioning and all that. But, you know, that, like, now that we're, like, you know, a few years removed from the game, it's like I don't really remember most of them.
Like, they were the weakest part of the game for me.
Yeah, and, like, the bosses too, it's like Ganon, Blob, like 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5.
Oh, I want more unique bosses, that's for sure.
More unique bosses, more enemies.
I think really, like, if I that's my main hope, really, is, like, because Breath of the Wild 1 felt very much kind of like a blank slate game in a lot of ways, which isn't a bad thing. I think it was a good thing. But it gives them a lot of room, I think, to grow and to just try new things. You know, now that they know that, you know, it works, how much further can you take it? And that's really, I think, the main thing I'm hoping for. And I've got no, like, pre-existing kind of idea of what I want it to be. I'm really just like, all right, I'm gonna see the game and we'll see how it is.
Well, I guess to tie it back together, though, how do they prove that in at E3? I guess, right? Like, is a trailer good enough for that, or are these things that, like, we need to see the game for, or, like, can E3 be enough to, like, prove Breath of the Wild's, like, how, like, it being its own thing, I guess.
If they do a trailer like the second Breath of the Wild trailer, like, of that quality, like, that sold me on the game. That trailer sold me more than any. What? You said that was a lie?
No, of course it was. Do you remember the trailer? It made the game seem like a lot of things that it wasn't.
Oh, that
But
sold me on
That's a
it.
whole other topic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about just a trailer. I think they would maybe show some in-depth gameplay, but if they focused on the, obviously, I think it would benefit them if they focused on the new elements, and then
Yeah.
you know, a reassurance that like, hey, you know, this is still Breath of the Wild 2 for anyone who's like scared or something. I don't know. You know how people get.
Yeah.
Link comes on screen, pulls out a hook shot, $60 pre-order. I'm in.
Well, here's
Yeah,
a question:
I think-
Does Treehouse come back? Do we?
Well,
Can,
that-
like, so can
definitely.
we see a demo of
I hope so.
this game?
I really
think
hope
so.
so.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, and it's like I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean they've done like at home tree houses before, and there's really no reason not to do it, especially for something like Breath of the Wild. Like I feel like what they would do is probably like a big trailer, kind of like give you like those like I don't know what you'd call them, but like kind of like those like snippets of like what the heck is this? Is that gameplay? Is this like some new idea? Like what does that do? Oh my god,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah.
And then, you know, after the show, you go into like the hour-long treehouse segment or
Hell
whatever.
Yeah.
I could
And
see them
then-
doing one of those like 5-minute like Onuma describes like the new elements. Did I say his name right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a little segment after like the trailer, like the hype trailer, and then like he explains the new things for like 5 minutes, and then they're like, okay, you'll see gameplay later.
Mhm.
So does this open or close the direct, or somewhere in the middle?
Ooh.
Wouldn't it be funny if it
I
was
think
if it opened and closed?
Well, you know, Sony did that with Days Gone.
I think opening is the way
Oh,
to
they
do
did, right? Well, I feel like Nintendo, the only time they ever really open and close with the same thing is Smash
A
Brothers.
Smash.
Yeah.
Before we get into Smash, I guess. As
I
far
mean, that's
as
an opener and closer, though, right? In my opinion, like it's Smash and Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
if yeah, I think that just depends on if they announce both of the final characters in one go or not, which I don't know.
Yeah.
One of them for sure.
Yeah.
It's a tough one because I mean I guess it just depends on I feel like this is different from like the last E3 because these are the last two, and
Yeah.
you know, not that I expect the last character is going to be something super crazy special because it never is,
Yeah.
but they
Never
might
is.
it never is, but they might want to at least like have like its own showcase event. Here's the character, surprise, here's the gameplay, and then kind of go on the whole like, wow, we sure did a lot in this Smash Ultimate game, didn't we? Kind of show, you know.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that makes sense. That I honestly I buy that like entire like because do you remember the way they did the last DLC for Smash 4? They kind of did this like finale thing. So that would make
Yeah.
sense to do that for a last character. So I would only do one character. Yeah, I'd probably open
Yeah.
the show with Smash. Like these are guarantees though, right? Like Smash will be there, Breath of the Wild will be there, and I think it's a safe bet to say one of those is opening, one of those is closing, right?
Yeah.
I think Breath of the Wild
think so
opens
as well.
it. They do the
I think-
gameplay. Smash maybe. I might say Smash is right after that, and they do like a one more thing. It's like one of the new games that's rumored.
Oh, okay.
Ooh. So that's probably.
Part of me kind of thinks. Part of me thinks they might end with Breath of the Wild and then go straight, kind of like what they did in 2016.
Yeah.
They had the Breath of the Wild trailer, and then immediately,
You just go
You know,
straight into here's gameplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like once
Yeah.
it's like, what did I just watch? Well, here you go.
Yeah.
We're gonna play the game.
Honestly,
Show
I
you how it
Though
is.
if it's like, do you remember? Okay, actually, do you remember though? The freaking Breath of the Wild 2016 E3. We saw a trailer. Everyone was so excited because it looked amazing, and then they bored us with an hour of Pokemon before they got to Zelda.
Yeah, I remember.
I
that.
don't remember that. I
Yeah,
completely
so
pushed that
freaking-
out of my mind.
Those jerks, they made us like, and look, Sun and Moon is great. Don't get me wrong, right? But like, that's not a good demo game, and especially after showing us that trailer, they did an hour of Pokemon, and the demo too. It was like, here's how you catch a Pokemon. Wow.
I tune out so hard during RPG presentations.
Yeah,
Same.
honestly. So
I just
knowing our
cannot
luck, so what's
focus
gonna
on
happen?
them.
They're gonna close the Breath of the Wild. Then they're gonna show us an hour of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, and then they'll get to Breath of the Wild gameplay.
Yeah.
You know, that makes me think. Do you think? I think that Pokemon's going to be at E3, but do you think there's going to be like a Pokemon Presents before E3, or do you think they're going to save trailers for those games until the main show?
I'm gonna say Presents before E3. That's typically what they do.
Does the fact that they gave release dates play into that any?
I know.
Well, why did they give release dates? That could have been a great like E3 announcement.
I mean, I thought it was so strange that they
Yeah.
just dropped that on Twitter. And to me, that makes me think, I don't know if we're going to get a Pokemon Presents,
Yeah.
honestly. I think we might just get trailers for both of these games.
Yeah, I
Do you
thought
think
it
we
was
see
weird as
more
well.
gameplay
I mean-
of Legends?
Oh, I think Legends is a guarantee for the E3 Direct. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't know about Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. They might not think that's like a good game for E3, right?
It could be a treehouse thing.
There might be
after.
like a tease. I don't know. There's something weird about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, just because they seem like, as far as we know right now, they are playing it so like
It's Diamond
faithfully.
and Pearl. It is Diamond and Pearl.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like I was thinking about it again today because they tweeted out the box art, and it's like there's no new forms for these guys. That's and it's like
Yeah.
from like I kind of want to know more about those games just to like figure out, is there anything new?
Is there
Yeah.
something to them? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think. I feel like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is not a kind of game that you want to show at E3. I think that is a. I mean, I think the only way we see it is it's a quick trailer that leads straight into Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like if they do Treehouse, I think we'll see the Pokemon, both of them.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think we definitely see the remake at Treehouse for like extended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
I
makes
I
sense.
remember like Sword and Shield, they had their big Wild Area presentation at that E3 too.
Right. And I feel like
Oh,
Legends.
yeah.
I mean, Legends is like. Legends
Yeah,
is super major, so I'd be genuinely surprised if we didn't at least get like a segment about it.
Yeah, 100%. I think.
Especially knowing that it's coming in January, like it's not
Yeah.
that far off. Right? It's not like so it's like I think we will see Legends like for sure.
Mhm.
Both in the direct and if there's a Treehouse, like they'll do a Treehouse segment on Legends, like without a doubt.
There's
Do you think we?
there's something that I would really like to see at E3 that is not Pokemon or Zelda or Smash,
Oh.
and that is my dearly beloved Metroid 5 question mark.
That I mean, okay, look, Emily's saying we're
People
gonna
keep
see
talking about
Metroid.
it.
It's not at E3 necessarily, but it's coming out this year. She said it's coming out this year. I see no reason to doubt her.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I
Jeff
think
Grubb also
2D
said, "quote
Metroid.
Metroid Prime 2D," but I think the
Uh,
Prime was accidental.
Say that again.
I said Jeff Grubb said Metroid. He thinks Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime 2D will be it.
Oh, I think that was just a flub. I think that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Prime.
But yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see Metroid, and I don't think it's a remake. Like, there's a
No.
lot of like, oh, will it be a fusion?
God.
No,
Yeah.
I
no.
hope it's
Yeah,
not.
please don't be a remake.
If
Yeah,
okay,
can't be a remake.
look, if the next 2D Metroid is a remake, they are creatively bankrupt. Like I'm sorry, like
Yeah.
they do not know what to do with Metroid. Clearly, then
If,
Yeah.
if the next 2D Metroid is a remake of Super Metroid, I think I'll just like die, because that is the the game that needs least to be remade in the entire universe.
they just don't need it. And you can play Super Metroid on your Switch right now.
Yeah.
Boot it up right now. You
Yeah.
know, if you want to play it that badly.
I very
God.
I very much want my Fusion sequel. That's
I
what
think
want.
I really think it will be. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm optimistic. I don't know, but
I-
like it's been 4 years.
I think it'll be a new game.
I mean, yeah. Even if it's not necessarily like a Fusion sequel, I hope and I think it will be a new game.
Yeah.
They just did a remake.
Yeah, I feel pretty.
It's been long enough. It's been 4 years since Samus Returns. You
Yeah.
know, and so I don't mean this exactly in that like. So I'm gonna use a comparison, but you know the glow up that we saw from A Link Between Worlds to Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Right
Mhm.
now, I don't want Metroid to look cutesy like Link's Awakening, but if from Samus Returns to the next Metroid we get a glow up like graphically like that, I
Yeah.
think that would be really nice.
I mean, I think
You know?
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that I don't want to say that goes without saying, but like I do think that it'll be pretty. Like I don't expect to be disappointed in that regard personally.
Yeah, I think a 2D Metroid, like a 2.5D Metroid, could look absolutely fantastic on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Samus Returns still looked very good, especially considering that it was running on 3DS.
Oh, for sure.
So
It looked really nice.
It looked great
was
for the
smooth,
3DS
too.
game, but like I want a big like upgrade though, you know, because
Yeah.
the Switch is just so much more powerful, right?
Yeah.
And it's a 2D Metroid that you're selling for $60, presumably. I think that's a safe bet, right?
Yeah.
I want it to look pretty. I want it to look nice. Making me feel like I'm paying for $60 worth, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
as
the
far
price
as
conversation is always fraught, but you know.
yeah, I mean, as far as Metro goes, it's like as long as it's a new game and not a remake, that's all I ask for.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be really happy
For
with
the
that.
love of God.
I'd be super happy if it was a Fusion sequel, but so long as it's a new game, then I will be happy.
I
So
still
we were
haven't
talking about
finished
Emily
Fusion.
though with Metroid. She did float the idea that it may not. She said that this was speculation, but she did say like remember that Nintendo sometimes will just announce a game and release it the next month, so we may not even see it at E3. Do you think there's a if it's coming out this year? Do you think it's gonna be at E3 or not?
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
I think
think
we see
Metroid
it.
is the kind of game that you announce a month before it releases and then
No,
know
it does
nothing
not
about
have
it
that
and
hype
just
attached to it.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're-
I feel
yeah.
like, well, yeah, I feel like Nintendo. Not always. They don't always know that their E3 audience, but I feel like when it comes to Metroid, at least they know like who's looking for that game and
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah. Like
You know.
that's prime time for like a Metroid like being shown.
Right.
Like you're not going to just be like, okay, Metroid's out next month. Bye.
Yeah. It's the kind of game where it's like they would announce it later, and then everyone would just be like, "Well, why didn't they just announce it at E3?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with, I guess the Switch Pro, if that ends up being a thing, and it's 8:13 p.m. and they didn't announce one, so
Yeah.
Not today.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see
Not
I don't
today.
see the Pro being an E3 announcement, by the way, like completely
No.
serious.
No, yeah, me
Yeah.
neither.
At all.
Well, so but I agree, but okay, so we clearly know it's coming soon. the
Yeah.
announcement, that is right. Like by end of June, I would say, right?
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't
Was
be
it-
surprised if we see a Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay and we say, could this not be running on a Switch?
Right.
Right.
And I think
Maybe-
that just depends on
Maybe they don't say the word Switch 2, like Switch Pro, but like we see the gameplay and we're like, that's a little bit too...
Well, I think they would be dishonest about it because remember, Breath of the Wild 1, despite knowing that it was coming to NX, they happily showed the Wii U version, like the madmen that they are.
But they're like the same versions. There's not much difference.
Yeah, I know, but still, I don't like I don't see Nintendo as a company that would like sneakily show you Switch Pro footage before they announce it. You know, I think if we see Switch Pro footage of Breath of the Wild 2, it's because they announced the Switch Pro already. Is kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at with that.
They would make
I really
a
don't
deal
see
out
them
of
People
it.
keep
doing,
saying like the Switch Pro
Switch
announcement will come like at or right near the Breath of the Wild 2 one. Like those people think like those announcements are going to be like intertwined.
I do think that I don't know about the announcement, but I do believe that the release date of both are intertwined. In terms of a hardware announcement, I don't see them announcing a revision any greater than 3 months before it launches at the most.
Yeah,
But we
I
know
mean,
one is imminent. We know
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
one is imminent.
Yeah.
So like I really feel like in the next 6 weeks, let's say, right?
next 2 weeks, I guess, if it's gonna be like before E3.
Yeah, but isn't it like weird to do it either before or right after? I think after is even more baffling.
It is. Well, it makes me think back to the 3DS XL.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
good old 2012, they had like the whole 3DS like separate conference. And they did not talk about a revision at all. And then
No.
2 weeks later, we got a direct that was like, "Oh, look at this! We got a 3DS XL."
In fact, at that E3, Miyamoto was like, "We think the 3DS hardware is perfect and doesn't need changes."
Yeah.
And then 2
Yeah.
weeks later.
Little did he know.
Yeah,
So-
if for example, let's just say Breath of the Wild is going to hit November, I would expect a revision announcement no sooner than September. Like that's my personal thought on the matter.
That's what I thought, but this whole Emily message is really just throwing everything for a loop, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, all my priors are being re-examined right now because
I just don't
I was
see it.
not expecting to see it until September, to be honest with you. I really did not think that, like, I was, like, in my head, the way the Switch Pro was going to go was it was going to come out in, like, October, and we were going to see it in September.
I just,
you know?
I just don't see it being announced too soon as to, like, affect the, to affect hardware sales
Switch
leading
sales.
up to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if,
But then, what if, but let me turn it around. What if it is being announced soon, what if that's an indication it's not a replacement at all, right? It is very much, it's like, not its own thing, but like, targeting a different person than, and what I mean by a higher price point, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
500
Like-
bucks.
I
$3.99 or $3.49 or whatever. But like it could be an indication that, hey, like, they don't see this as like cannibalizing the Switch. This is its own line, much like the Switch Lite, right? The Switch Lite didn't cannibalize the Switch. It was an addition to the family.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine if they do the Switch Pro and like the normal Switch still just stays at $299 forever again? Just keep on going without a single price drop ever.
But like that sounds kind of likely, right?
I think if the Switch Pro is like if it's a $400 machine, then yeah, you get your 200 Lite, your 300 base, and then your 400 Pro. People are still gonna buy them.
I could.
That's like an
I'm
iPhone line
hoping
there.
that this comes with price drops for the whole family, but I don't know if it will. I really don't. I don't know if I can say confidently that.
Yeah, I guess there's no reason to price drop. People are still buying it so much. Why bother?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. We talked about sales recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Switch is doing better this year than it was last year.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Yeah. There's something. See, like Switch Lite, right? Is not, to me, it's more of a different form factor and complements the original model very well. Whereas the Pro is obviously going to be geared to enthusiasts in the beginning, but is, would be a machine that you would potentially opt to buy instead of one of the other models on the market. So I honestly don't really know. It could kind of go either way, I guess.
Yeah, I think this just hit me. I think best case scenario would be maybe we get price drops to like $250 for the Switch, $150 for the Lite, and then the Pro is like $350. So it's still like $100 between each one, but
I could see that.
you at least drop down the price of the base ones a little bit.
Yeah.
And it
would make
it
sense.
prevents a Switch Pro at $400. Like it would sell. I don't know. Something about a $400 Switch feels like it's a lot, but
It feels ludicrous, and yet at the same time, I mean, to be fair, I also thought $500 like PlayStations and Xboxes was ludicrous, and that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people don't care. So I think if people are willing to spend $500 on an Xbox or PlayStation, $400
Yeah.
for a Switch would be
Like, it's
Still
still
be an
cheaper
easy
than those
sell for a lot of
consoles,
people.
right? And it's
Yeah.
still like, I mean, and like we went through this whole rigmarole when the Switch originally came out, right?
Yep.
Well, is 300 like considered too much for what it is? And the answer was a resounding no. Right?
I just think at
Um,
400 you just have to prove yourself visually. They just have to show it with like, oh, here's like 3 big games from the other platforms. Like, okay, these are running well on the Switch now.
The nice thing about the Switch Pro being a more premium product, it could get us a machine that would not be feasible at $299. That would be
Right.
swell, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And B, it means that like they do this, and if it fails, it doesn't matter because the main
Because
Switch
it
is
wouldn't
still
hurt the
solid.
Switch sales.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a win-win. Like we get a better machine, and Nintendo gets like a almost not necessarily experimental, but it just lets them target a different audience, I guess. And
Red Dead
that's fine.
Redemption 2 and Call of Duty launching with the Switch Pro.
The Switch Pro.
I personally want to see extremely realistic horse testicle physics on my Switch Pro. That's what I'm buying it for, nothing else.
Oh, Miitopia, where do you have that?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Damn, I've been playing the wrong game. No. I could you imagine though if they hit 349?
I don't know, like part of me feels like it's more likely than $399, but
Yeah.
that's without really knowing what the heck it really is.
what it is.
Yeah.
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 Like we know it's a more powerful thing. It has DLSS. And that's it. And it's an OLED screen. It's a bigger OLED screen.
Yeah.
which is
OLED screen would be so nice.
Good enough for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So quick question
I'm-
before we talk about other E3 stuff.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, they're gonna show it, obviously.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it get a date for this year or next year?
I'm gonna be the person who says this year. I'm gonna say
I
November.
think so too.
Team 2021.
I'm saying September, baby.
I would love
You know what?
September.
It's I was kind of, because you mentioned, like, they're not going to announce the Switch Pro more than 3 months before it's out. And if it was intertwined with Breath of the Wild, and it's like, no, well, if that's a November game, that's not going to be there. But then it's like, maybe the game just comes earlier than we think. And it is still like a Switch Pro game. It's just an early one.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, the Diamond and Pearl remakes they're November games.
November,
right?
yeah.
But I think they've had a couple like multi-November Switch months before.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know. It's kind of fuzzy in my memory.
It's always
now.
like Pokemon and then at least like one other thing. At least.
Right. I do think Sword and Shield was October, right? Or was that November?
Pokemon's been November for the last 7 years now. They've had that November slot just.
Okay, I think I'm thinking of X and Y then, because I know that.
So on Wii U and 3DS, Pokemon, 3DS Pokemon would release, and then a Wii U game would release the same day, like Smash Wii U and ORS.
Right. Yeah.
came out
Right.
the same
Yeah.
day. But is it a different thing being on the same console? I guess because they haven't done that on Switch. Like,
Yeah.
Pokemon has not launched on the same day as something else on the Switch. We've not seen that yet.
I don't think they would do it on the same day anymore.
Yeah.
They know how powerful Pokemon
No.
is.
Yeah. I think.
I mean, I
definitely
think-
same month, but not the same day.
Yeah, same month I could see, but same day probably not, right?
No, not same day.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's another rumored game that some people are expecting to be E3. I think we should talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey PD.
Yes,
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
Do we
Donkey
think
Kong made by
2D
EP
Donkey Kong
Tokyo.
is going to be at E3?
I'm gonna say.
I hope.
I'm gonna say yes. I hope, but I'm gonna say yes.
God, I want to see Donkey Kong so badly.
Here's my problem. Okay? Do you remember the last time every Insider on Earth was saying game existed except for Emily?
Yeah, I know. That's what gives me
Metroid Prime
pause.
Trilogy at the Game Awards.
Star
fucking
Fox Grand
everyone was
Prix.
saying it except Emily.
Yeah. Yep.
The only thing that gives me some hope,
Uh-huh.
even a little bit of hope, is that she hasn't said it doesn't exist, just that she hasn't.
She hasn't heard about it.
Right. But that's
Now-
what she said about Metroid Prime Trilogy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, which I mean, it's still not a great sign. I'm going in. I hope. I
Yeah.
don't
It's an
expect.
optimistic thing. Here, let me. I know I came in being like, oh, I don't know, but let me spin it in a positive way. Okay. We know for a fact. There's no rumor. There's no leak. We know that Tokyo is hiring for a 2D game, right?
Yep.
We know that Kyoto is hiring for a 2D game, which means if Kyoto's hiring for a 2D game, that's probably Mario, right?
Yeah.
So you can probably throw any expectation that Tokyo are the ones making 2D Mario. I don't think that's happening. That there's clearly the same team that made New Super Mario Bros. U and Mario Maker 2. They are the ones hiring for a 2D game as well. They're making their own thing. They're making Mario. You know. So if you cross out Mario, what 2D game is worth Tokyo's time? What, like an internal EPD game? What IP? It's all to me.
Wario
the only
Land.
answer is
There you
Donkey
go.
Kong,
Yeah, it's
right?
Oh yeah, Donkey Kong.
it's absolutely Donkey Kong. Not to mention, DK40. Just gonna put
Yeah,
that
I
out
mean,
there.
it's his
Oh,
40th
that would be
anniversary
fantastic.
this year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. So Zelda and Metroid anniversary stuff. Do we expect to see that?
Oh yeah, like a Wind Waker Twilight Princess pack.
Yeah, that's.
I think Wind
I
Waker
think-
Twilight Princess pack is happening, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think-
if if
You
Breath of
know-
the Wild 2 is this year, I don't know if that's also this year, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it could be like early next year like 3D World was, remember?
Yeah.
I do actually. I do think that either will be like the official start actually of the Zelda anniversary.
Yeah.
Because I mean, thinking about it, it's like I don't remember if Mario 25 was like at E3 2010. It wasn't actually.
They did its own event.
That was its own event. But then like when Mario Maker came out, it was like Mario 30. Mario is turning 30. Zelda 25 was like at E3. That was a big
That was
deal.
definitely
Yep.
E3. I mean, even
And-
Mario 35 was supposed to be at E3.
Yeah, that was supposed to be much earlier until I mean, as far as we know.
Yeah.
But then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And everything got thrown out the window, and then they were like, "Hey, Mario 3D All Stars comes out in a week. Have fun."
And,
Mario
and
35.
if there's any series that Nintendo will present out the ass at E3, it's gonna be Zelda. Zelda
Oh,
is just
it's
the
Zelda.
crowd pleaser. Like,
Zelda is like their E3 game.
that is the
Their
golden
E3
E3
franchise.
goose.
You know, it
Yeah,
is
I
a
think-
game that appeals to the E3 audience. Obviously, it's just, and they have a lot of them, right? It's just
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do just wonder if Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, are coming to the Switch. Do those get announced, or does that step too much on the Skyward Sword toes? I feel like they can talk about the 35th anniversary before they would announce like a pack like that. Let Skyward Sword come out, be its own thing.
There's no saying that the anniversary has to all the announcements have to happen in one go, right?
Right, and I don't think they would. I do think they would officiate it. It'd be like Zelda 35. We've got a bunch of great announcements all throughout the year. Here's Skyward Sword for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then here's Breath of the Wild 2.
If
I can see them delaying that announcement.
if
They could.
if Breath of the Wild 2 is not making it for 2021, then I absolutely see the Wind Waker.
Oh, then
pack.
for sure.
Yeah.
Then if Breath of the Wild is 2022, we will see Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. If it is 2021, I can see that getting pushed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Again, 3D World came out early this year.
Yeah.
Right? It was not in the same calendar year as the rest of the Mario 35 stuff, right?
Yeah.
Wii U ports generally fill in that cute calendar year Q1 slot anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So and it's still in the anniversary, right?
Yeah.
Like generally Nintendo anniversaries don't end on the anniversary, they end at the end of the fiscal year.
Yep.
Right? Fire Emblem 20, they did Fire Emblem 30 or whatever it was, 35, I don't remember what it was. That ended March 31st recently, right? Year of Luigi ended March 31st. Like, they just time it with the fiscal year. They always do. So the Zelda anniversary will go through next March. I guarantee you it, right?
Yeah.
So,
on that note,
yeah, I
do you
could
think
come
we
out
get a new
early next year and they'd be fine. If Breath of the Wild 2 is this year, they could Zelda, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, easy filler for early next year.
You mentioned Fire Emblem. Do you think we see a new Fire Emblem this year? At least announced.
3?
Maybe?
I mean,
Maybe.
okay,
That's a huge series now. Like, that's a lot bigger
Yeah.
than it used to be.
here's the thing. You may be thinking, Three Houses just came out. But Koei Tecmo made that, first of all, right? People who worked on Fire Emblem Echoes 4 years ago have not been seen in the credits of a game since then. Like, a lot of people who worked on Echoes, Shadows of Valentia.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been 4 years. Like, the same amount of time as Samus Returns, right? I think it's fairly reasonable to think that those guys have been working on their own Fire Emblem, even though Three Houses was in development as well. I could very easily see the people who were doing Echoes make a remake of, say, Genealogy of the Holy War, the 4th game in the series.
Yeah.
Right?
Three Houses also wasn't like that recent. It was like over 2 years, wasn't it?
2 years now, yeah. Yeah, it's been 2 years.
Yeah, I
been a
can
while.
see it.
Yeah.
It's so many. There's
Yeah.
so many games that like it's tough because like there's so many games right now that are rumored and that are also like I can see it. You know, like
Yeah.
There's
I
so
think-
many, and it's not going to be all of them, right?
No.
There's no way it's all of them,
No.
right? But, and on that note, Xenoblade.
I can see
Maybe.
it.
I hope so.
Yeah, that was
Man,
a
I don't know.
2017 game. They've had 4 years to work on it.
Xenoblade 3 would just be so exciting because now I feel like when it comes to Xenoblade now it's like every game is like a not completely different, but aesthetic and
1
world,
to X to
like,
2
idea.
are very different games. I think that's fair. I think they're very, very different games, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the structure of 1 and 2 are obviously pretty close, right?
Right.
But like in terms of aesthetic,
Yeah.
we're not going to talk about Xenoblade 2 aesthetics tonight, I hope. But whatever happens with 3, it's like it's like a fresh start all over again. So, and I love Xenoblade.
Yeah.
It'll happen. It's just I don't know. I always have trouble like committing to a prediction because it's like I very rarely get them right, and I hate getting my hopes up for something that doesn't happen. But it is, I do think it'll be coming pretty soon.
Let's just say yes on everything because we're bound to be right on some of them.
yeah, Rhythm Heaven's back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it's
Announcement?
like what? So okay, Donkey Kong, I can see it. Kirby, I can see it. What was it?
Oh, yeah,
Tomodachi,
Kirby.
Tomodachi,
Kirby, yeah.
I can see it. There's so many that are like, I can see it.
I don't see Tomodachi.
I mean,
since
I just mean,
it's an E3 game.
I just mean,
I guess Kirby's not really.
yeah,
No,
I'm
get
not
you, though.
saying,
Well, I think
I'm not saying E3
yeah.
game. I just mean like, yeah, this is probably coming, and we'll see when
Gotcha.
it shows up. But like,
it has been kind of weird, right? The Kirby's. I mean, not that Kirby's been absent. There's been those eShop games, but after Star Allies, it's been nothing.
It's been a long break, like one of the longest breaks for between mainline entries. Like, you know, like there's a lot of people. If we're talking about like staff members, obviously, most of HAL did not work on Kirby Fighters or Clash or whatever. In fact, we know that they were mostly outsourced.
yeah, Vanpool
right?
handled most of that.
Vanpool these days is just like the second Kirby developer.
It's like but so HAL has been toiling away on some sort of Kirby. Like there's data mined evidence towards 3D Kirby.
Right.
Yeah, I will say, like, if it's just like another just standard Kirby, it's like Kirby's cool. I don't think I'd be like super pumped, but if it's something that's like truly different, because I feel like, you know, the recent Kirby games have all been good, great even.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think
exhausted what they can do with that formula.
Yeah, I think Star Allies was just kind of like, oh, it's Kirby again. I don't know, you know, like,
and in a lot of ways it was like a culmination of that kind of Kirby, right? Because like they
Right.
included, especially through the DLC, they just kind of included references and characters from every game in the series, right?
Yeah.
And it was like truly like after Star Allies, like I don't want another whole. I feel bad calling it because they're still good, like you said, right? But I don't want more of the same for Kirby. I really don't. I want to see something different, and I think with that data mine evidence, with how long it's taken, I feel like it's more likely than not that it's some sort of shakeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's still 2D, I think it'll be a big shakeup from what has traditionally, you know, what they've been doing.
Yeah.
You know, would it be like an amazing mirror like Metroidvania Kirby again, or something just totally off the wall? I don't know. I hope it's 3D. I remember playing, I think it was Blowout Blast on the 3DS.
Yeah.
It was kind of like just the smallest taste of what a 3D Kirby could be like, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Definitely like a lot of room for expansion and other
Yeah.
ideas, and, you know, kind of like real platforming level design.
Yeah.
A
'Cause that
3D
one-
Kirby could be like a fun, like younger person character action game almost.
Yeah, it would kind of fit along with Yoshi's Crafted World, in that it's a character action game that younger players could get into.
See, when you say character action, my brain goes to Platinum, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yes.
want Kirby
Hey,
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta.
That's what I'm thinking.
Bayonetta.
Are we gonna see Bayonetta? Are we
If Bayonetta's
stake our claim?
if Bayonetta is anytime soon, then we will definitely see it at E3. Like,
Yeah.
that's my
I don't know.
like E3 is Bayonetta is another one of those like Game Awards E3.
That's an E3 type of.
Yeah,
type
that's
of
like an
that
E3
counts,
game.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4 both exist in this space of like, I just don't expect them to ever come out. Like, I expect them to come out, but it's like I've forgotten that they existed. I don't even remember to bring them up. And like when they get reannounced, they'll basically be brand new
Every
again.
time you bring them up, they get delayed by a week.
Yeah.
Like in my brain, Bayonetta 3 is always 2 years away. You know,
Yeah.
it's always like since
Yeah.
this announcement, I have thought it's 2 years away, and I still think it's 2 years away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it'll come out when it's ready, whenever the
Yeah.
heck that is. I mean, I hope that they just don't talk about it at all until they're like, oh, it's out
I
September.
mean, they clearly.
Yeah.
I think that's clearly what's happening at this point, right? Like they have not
Yeah.
uttered the phrase. The only time that they have officially talked about Bayonetta 3 in any capacity in the last 4 years, besides Kamiya replying to being asked about it,
Yeah.
was when they announced Astral Chain, and they're like, "We're not going to show Bayonetta yet, but we have this other Platinum game. We think you might like that one." But that's the only time they've even said the word Bayonetta 3 since they announced it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that'd be a good showcase for the Switch Pro, also, by the way, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's an enthusiast
a-
game that would look very pretty. Like, that's a pretty easy.
Try and get like a
Yeah, like if you're looking to sell to enthusiasts, there she is.
get a locked 60 frames per second, maybe, if we could be so lucky.
I think we should probably head towards the end of our prediction segment. But if we just want to say like one last hope for the show.
Sure. Yes.
I always like the little surprises, and I'm also very curious about the NSO rumors. I don't see that being an E3 thing personally, but if there's ever a surprise that I want to see at E3 that is probably not happening at all, but I still want it, it'll be one of two things. First is Rhythm Heaven. The second is Star Fox. So if that is those are my hopes and dreams that won't happen.
Yeah. That's.
I want both of those things.
I do.
I would love, I guess my super dream that won't happen this year is WarioWare. And then my semi-unlikely, but I would love to see another indie crossover with Nintendo characters, like a Cadence of Hyrule game by a different developer. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a fun little thing for sure. Yeah. I guess mostly the very reasonable request. I think they should show off Metroid Prime 4 coming out this year.
I was gonna say maybe they'll mention Metroid Prime 4 by name this year. Just to be like, that's...
like legit, there's a 10% chance, right? Maybe they tease it.
We haven't even seen a cinematic trailer for that. We've seen a logo.
20, give it a 2022 date, right?
Yeah.
But just tease it. Be
show us a cinematic trailer, fine.
If they genuinely believe that the game is going to come out next year, I guess there's no harm. Just a taste, a tiny taste.
And I think it would complement the other Metroid announcement really well.
Yeah.
If it's like other Metroid teasers and trailers, then Nintendo's E3 can end with a close-up of Samus shooting us in the face. I feel like that's how those teasers always go for Metroid. It's like, oh, power cannon in my face.
I just think of the Metroid Prime Trilogy menu, how the entire thing took place in her arm cannon.
Oh, so cool.
I don't know. Final prediction. Obviously, Rhythm Heaven and WarioWare are my two babies. I don't know if I don't know. I have this weird kind of bar in my head because Nintendo Directs are so prominent, and I kind of start to think of things in what's the E3 announcement and what's the Direct announcement, and I feel these days those games particularly would, probably be a Direct thing. Depends on when they come out. I don't know.
When did they announce? They announced Clubhouse Games 2 at a Direct, right?
Yeah, that was the that was the mini Direct from March of last year.
The best mini Direct of all time.
Yeah,
that was a good one. I feel as far as stuff goes that maybe could actually be at E3, it's I don't know, ARMS 2. Let's just go with that.
What?
ARMS 2. Let's go.
I actually have a real prediction thing that I want, I guess.
What's up?
I want to see a big update to Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yes.
Oh, I would love that expansion
big
pack.
Give it a 2.0,
Yeah.
That might be... I don't know if that's likely, but I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's likely, but possible,
That would get me back. That's the only thing that could get me back into that game at this point.
I would love to see that. And I'm going to ask the question, because we're at the end. Mario Kart 9?
No.
No.
Well, if I want ARMS 2, I don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
I gotta pick one or the other.
Yeah.
I will do something ridiculous. I don't know what it is yet, but if Mario Kart 9 is announced, you can hold me to it.
No.
I will hold my head in shame in some way. Don't worry.
Don't eat your shoe or pee into a cup and drink it or whatever.
I am so goddamn confident that Mario Kart 9 is not happening on the Switch. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to think that, but I think Splatoon 3 really kind of shook me a little bit. Not to the point where I think, oh, Mario Kart 9's guaranteed.
A lock.
But it's not a lock, but it's at a point now where there is part of me that's like, I wouldn't be totally baffled if they made it at this point. But also, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still selling better every year, so there's still that hasn't changed.
Last year alone.
Yeah.
I think The
Like
only
that
way
has
to
like Mario
sell
Kart 8
a-
Deluxe is on I don't know. I go crazy with sales numbers because I've given up on trying to like actually predict anything for this system. I just assume everything is going to sell better than you can ever expect. It's going to double Mario Kart Wii sales. Let's just
Why
go with
not?
it, right? Why not?
Yeah.
Because the Switch is going to last another 4 or 5 years, sure.
Yeah, right?
And it's just if it's
Honestly.
just gonna keep selling better every year, heck, maybe it'll outsell Wii Sports. Let's just
God.
go nuts. And I don't
think
know
the only
if you have a
way-
game, yeah, like if you have a game that's gonna sell that much, it's like why, especially a game that you didn't even have to develop from scratch. It's just like I would just like I love it. I love Mario Kart. I would like a new one. I definitely wouldn't say no. But I think I'm still kind of in this position of like I just hope the team just keeps doing new things, whether
Yeah.
it be like a huge like ARMS 2, they go back to Nintendogs, or they do something like another brand new IP. I kind of just want them to just keep experimenting
Same.
and not just make here's another Mario Kart. Plus we got Tour. Tour still gets updated all the time. I don't know if anybody plays it. I know you play it. Gartooth plays it.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't know who else plays Mario Kart
Yeah,
Tour.
I used to
Um,
play Tour. I think the only way 9 possibly makes sense, and I don't think it's coming, would be to just have like a second Switch launch, like for the Switch Pro. Like
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that's the only
And-
way it makes sense to me, but I don't think it makes sense.
Right, and it's like it's the kind of like the Splatoon 3 thing, right? Where
Yep.
it's like if the Switch Pro is kind of positioned as like half a revision, half a kind of sort of successor, where they're like kind of refreshing the library again.
Yep.
Then yeah, it makes sense.
Then yeah, doing
But-
like Breath of the Wild 2 and Splatoon 3 and maybe Xenoblade 3 or whatever. Then it kind of makes sense in that context, but
Mhm.
it's still kind of like
But,
damn,
if we're repeating 2017 games, I'll go back to ARMS.
yeah. I would love.
Personally.
I would love.
Yeah,
I would
that'd
love
be great.
ARMS 2 very much, please.
ARMS
don't
2
know.
needs its melee equivalent.
Absolutely,
Please.
potential's there.
I'm begging you.
All right, well, thank you, Drago, for coming on, and thank you everybody
Absolutely.
else. And I just wanted to wrap this up. You can find us on YouTube at Nintendo Era Discord. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms. We also have a blog, nintendoera.wordpress.com. Check us out. Ask us some questions in the Discord. If you're not on the Discord, check out the WordPress. We got a link there. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
Peace.